James Imani was first introduced to alcohol shortly after joining secondary school in Uganda. At that time, he did not know that his addiction was a pathway to an addiction that would set the course for the rest of his life.
You're most welcome, Pastor James.
Thank you, my brother. I'm glad to be here. After completing my primary school in Kenya, I came here with the plan of joining high school. In that season, also I had an auntie of mine who was doing an event, traditional wedding, and a lot of alcohol was actually bought. I would see people drinking, and the effects seemed to bring out happiness. So I believed that there is something to this drink that probably will make me feel more valuable, more manly or old, something like that. The alcohol that was left was kept in a room and locked. But one time we were playing around and we landed on the keys. There were 3 to 1 door, so we picked out one, not to be noticed. Then we opened this door one time when we were free. By the end of 2 months, we had finished every brand. So from there, I believe that's where the seed of addiction was planted. S2, I was in Mengo Senior School. Everyone who went with me in that school knows it. And when I reached Mengo, I now met many other stubborn people. And now I was initiated into this harder kind of use, including things like opium, cigarette smoking, weed. Now that's why I now started upgrading. Actually, I would drink a crate, one person in an hour. So I believe in high school, I stepped in class properly when I'm coming to do UNEB for A level. We were just in hostel drinking and partying. There was no one disturbing me. And this was because my dad had moved to stay abroad in UK. Addiction always reaches a time when now things are moving only wrong. I started creating things like hallucinations. I would, for example, do like music performances. Like you have a microphone and you see a crowd, but there's no one there. And you start performing to an imaginary crowd. I would start feeling supernatural courage, where you'd feel you can jump over buildings. Okay. You know, you feel like nothing can happen. But in the morning, you wake up in hospital, broken, glass has cut you, accidents. I would not even fear a car coming. Oh. So I would wait even for a vehicle coming, is when I would cross. I thank God that regardless of all these things, I survived.
You one day contemplated a suicide?
Yes. I was tired of this life. I said, you know what? The family is tired of me. The community is tired of me. Church itself is pointing fingers at me. I shared my issue and I requested for prayer requests. It was a private prayer group, but in the next day I found it in the whole church. Now, after all these things is when I said, you know what? I am the most useless in everybody I've seen. Because if the most useless people can call me useless, then it's not worth being alive. So I tried the easier option of dying. This is slow poison, where you overdrink. So this is what would happen, for example, on how we drink. Would buy those sachets, which are no longer existing right now. Would buy those ones, let's say they are 24, drink that, put beer here on the side, then buy what we call tobacco. It was called Mirage at that time. Kuba, get that. That one you put under the mouth. But my mouth had started getting even problems. I think it was becoming cancerous. Then you also add weed. Then you add other substances. So in short, after using just for 30 minutes, you're like a mad person. The time I started drinking in one day, I found myself in Gaba. Oh. So all those things would make you tired. You wake up in a ditch. So I said, you know what, I must die. Called my parents, who I felt now were no longer even loving, to just tell them, to even shock them. I tell them, you know what, I'm planning to kill myself. And I made that phone call when I was in my brother. So my father said, you know what, James, I don't believe it was wise for you to waste resources for you to call me. All this side, he stays in the UK. Just for a small thing like that. But we are now going to work. I'm going to call your uncle. We planned the funeral arrangements in advance. I said, okay. So I'm going to die in about the next 4 hours. So it's like I'd alerted him and he used the police. And I thank the police because this is a job well done. And they came for me, took me to the rehab. I was in alcohol drug unit, Butabika, for 3 months. But again, to prove that only God can heal, I relapsed immediately on the first day when I left rehab. So I believe rehab plays a part in healing, but it's a small part. It's like first aid. True healing, you will never find it anywhere outside God. And I've helped so many people, but I've seen the ones who did not change are the ones who refused to embrace Christ in their lives. So that is what I saw. So when I left the rehab, went back, and when you go back, it's times 3 worse. Because this time you've taken medicine, that medicine has an effect when you go back. You become totally a crazy guy. This time I used to slide over buildings, I used to you can do long call anywhere. It's like so many things. So after that I said, you know what, God help me. Now I need another option. Every option has failed. Herbalists have failed. Counseling has failed. So for me, some people feel angry because they feel I deserve to have died. But the grace of God has still sustained me up to now.
One day you chose to speak to the Lord.
Yes, it was personal. It was not a group. I just said, God, I know you exist. And this brings me back to the point where I still say, it's good to teach your children about God when they're still young. This same God will save them that time when you're not even there. Because this time even my parents were not there. And so I said, God, I know you're there, but I want to see if you work. Let me see myself sober for a week, because it had never happened for 10 years. And I felt a loud voice say, you're actually healed, and you're going to be sober for the rest of your life. 2016 is when this happened, total transformation. So since 2016 to now, I've not used. So it's 7 years now.
You have not used drug?
Nothing at all. So it started 4 days, 5 days. I was not drinking. It became even a concern. They thought I'm coming up with a new strategy of committing suicide. And I highly believe addiction, it's spiritual. So a person who breaks addiction must first spiritually be delivered. So that's how I believe my deliverance happened. From that day, I've never tasted alcohol or any cigarette. In fact, if I smell cigarette, I can vomit.
Oh.
Yes, there's a time I even smelled it and I was admitted in hospital. So that's how serious God changed my life. And he sent me as he said. I started slowly by reaching out to addicts. With time now, my story started having impact. I would be called on in churches, schools, but I also had initiatives. I would go to the rehabs. Butawika, I'm also among the speakers who go there. I've spoken in rehabs, communities. Some I even go by myself. I can say, now let me just go down here. And I see where addicts are, then I start speaking. So it's a certain grace that I feel God has put on me. When I speak to them, they stop. I've received a lot of criticism and stigma because of opening up a testimony. And this has kept many to fear to come out. There's a time I shared in church a testimony, and the next time I was sitting with one of the members and people saying, be careful man, you're starting to hang out with such guys. Most people are living in hiding, but this problem is deep. It's in an extent of primary schools. There are over 100 total transformations, and I've also seen over 1,200 youth give their lives to Christ. There are places I've been told to edit my testimony. Edit it and I receive funding, but as long as I don't add the word Jesus there. Oh. Yes, those are the majority. So I would actually be rich. So I have had to remain with integrity and let go of money, because I know even me being alive, it was by the grace of God. To anyone out there watching this program, I would like to encourage you that it's not late. In Joel 2:25, it says, God can give you back whatever you lost. Since we know the battle is in the mind, let us be wise and know that the devil accesses us through our minds. The things we watch, those are very, they may seem light, but those are the same things that the devil uses. For example, in our generation, the devil is targeting children through cartoons. As parents, what have you done about it? Do you have supervision over your children? Some of us became addicts because our parents were busy. But as parents right now, I think it's time to be intentional. And for you who is a kid and you understand, also it matters a lot who you relate with, the kind of programs you watch, including music videos, and even the people you decide to choose as your role models. Remember in Romans 12:2 it says, do not be conformed to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind. So where you focus your mind most creates who you become. It's time for you to focus on things which are godly, things which are positive, finding your purpose, finding your identity and destiny according to Christ. That will help you so much. Some of us are a true story of what God can do. I've seen so many people who have been delivered in different things, not only addiction. This is proof that God works. So today I welcome you to receiving Jesus Christ in your life and walk each day with him, and he will change your life completely. Luke chapter 1 verse 37 says, nothing is impossible with God. So I request you to welcome this God in your life, and your life will change for the better.